Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? It's doing great so far with the Ignite, yeah? Yeah? Woohoo! Lots of information, right? And we are going to add a few more on top of it. This session, we're going to talk about understanding multi-geo capabilities in Office 365. Let's introduce ourselves. I'm Sesha Mani. I'm a Principal Program Manager in the Office 365 team, specifically in SharePoint and OneDrive for Business. I have here with me Robert Lowe and Samir. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yes, thanks, Sesha. I'm Robert Lowe. I am also a program manager in the Office 365 team, and I focus on Exchange Online scenarios. So Sesha and I have been working very closely to light up multi-geo across our respective services.
Hey, and I'm Samir Sitharam. I'm the product marketing manager for multi-geo capabilities in Office 365. And yeah, really excited to be over here and introduce this feature and looking forward to the conversations after this.
Thank you, guys. Okay. So I will take first 10 minutes to walk you through an initial backdrop of what is multi-geo and so on. And then Samir will come and talk about the high-value value props of this geo, this scenario. And then Robert will talk about Exchange Online. Now, this is actually a very important moment for us, I should say, because as you can imagine, multi-geo capabilities in an Office 365-like services is a fairly complex engineering problem. In fact, me and Robert has been working on this problem for almost like a year and a half now. There are a lot of details that we have to think it through to get to this. So we are really excited to come to this moment where we can share with you what is multi-geo and how far we have gone through with this, and also very excited to have you on board to this scenario and get benefit from that as well. That's really the real pleasure that we will have when you are able to get into it and take benefit of this multi-geo. Now, let me get started with what is the agenda is going to look like. I'll start with why and what is multi-geo. Then we will actually have a customer who has already onboarded as an early adapter for multi-geo, and we would like to have them on stage and share their experience and share their vision on how they see this journey going for the next few years. And then we will go specific to each Office 365 workload, Exchange Online, OneDrive for Business, and SharePoint Online. And then finally, we will have a Q&A. And I have a news for you. If you ask us a question, you will get this sunglass, one of these sunglasses, okay? So stay with us, and at the very end, it'll be fun. Ask questions. Each of you who is asking questions, of course, first come, first serve, you will get the sunglasses too. It's Orlando, Florida, so we thought we should just make it a little bit fun as well. So with that, let me actually get started with what is Office 365 multi-geo. It is about enabling a single Office 365 tenant into expanding into multiple geographic regions and countries. So that's what is all about multi-geo. Now, in this case, let me give you a simple example. Just imagine Contoso.com as an existing Office 365 tenant or a new tenant. And imagine they actually have location in North America today. So that's their headquarters in North America. And because of growing data residency needs, they actually need to have data located locally in locations like Europe as well as in Australia. So we call it satellite locations. So they want to be able to have a single tenant, but at the same time being able to have 3 data locations, North America, Europe, and Australia, and enable collaboration across these locations. So that's the very key experience they want to achieve with this. At the same time, the main reason why they want to do this is because of data residency. And I want to be upfront and very clear about that, because this is mainly the main business driver is data residency. Not only your own customer, like yourself, want to keep the data, but you may have clients that you are working with, and you are obliged with them to actually keep the data in that particular geolocation itself, right? So that's the reason we believe the main driver, the data residency is the main driver for multi-geo. Now, at the same time, there's always, well, it actually helps in performance too, isn't it? You may wonder. And we want to be very clear, it is not the default solution for your performance problems. So what I mean by that is, For example, if you take a SharePoint site and you have a performance latency problem in the site, it could be many different factors why you have that problem, right? It could be because of the customizations you have done on the page. It could be because of the external data lookup that you are doing. It could be because of web parts that you have configured in the page, so many different reasons. And same thing, if you are trying to access the mailbox and the network connectivity, your own congestion in the network could be the root cause as well. So that is the reason why we are being very clear up front, saying it is not the default solution. If I have a performance problem, I just enable multi-geo, the problem will go away. Like, don't think along that way. Only if the root cause is the data is further away from the user, and that is the root cause why I am having this particular performance problem, then in that particular case, it may help, right? But it was designed from the ground up with the data residency in mind. And you will see throughout the session why we emphasize that particular point. When we talk about data, we see there are two sets of data. There is user-attached resources, such as a user's mailbox and OneDrive. And then there are shared resources, such as SharePoint team site and Office 365 groups, which has shared site and shared mailboxes. So we looked at both the set of data, both user-attached resources as well as the shared resources, coming up with the multi-geo story. Let me give you a little bit more color on what are all the available geos for this multi-geo, because that's your next obvious question. You said it's multi-geo. That means definitely it's more than two. So tell us, what are all the geos that I could potentially have? I'm glad to announce that available geos right now supported are around 9 different geos. So that means the tenant, your tenant, can potentially be extended to these 9 different locations. Now, if you notice the list that we have here, it includes both regional level geos, such as Asia Pacific, EMEA, North America, United States, as well as local countries, such as Australia, Canada, India, Japan, United Kingdom, and South Korea. This is a very important point to keep in mind, because as you know, Office 365 has data centers coming up in what we call go local countries, such as Australia, Japan, and so on. Because as the countries are becoming local, regulator controls are coming forward, and we are operating and adding new data centers in those specific countries. So as we increase our number of footprints in the specific countries, we will also add them as a supported geolocation for a multi-geo itself. So currently, this is the list that we have. And then also, as you see, to be launched is the France location, is another country we are looking at enabling data center. Okay? The next question is, what are the available services in Office 365 that actually support multi-geo? Again, we're glad to announce that Exchange Online and OneDrive for Business is in preview, in selective preview right now. And we will talk about later how you get a participate in the preview itself. And then also SharePoint Online is in development right now, because as you can imagine, it's a shared resource, like a team site or Office 365 groups. So it has a little bit engineering more effort we need to put in to provide that multi-geo capability. Okay? So that's at the high level, what are the available geos, as well as what are the available services. And as the picture shows, Contoso has 3 locations, North America, Europe, and Australia. We are going to use this throughout our rest of the session as a reference customer, so that any demos that we do, you will see us referring to this particular Contoso tenant. But I'm hoping you can translate this into your own scenario or your own use case as well, because locations are just examples for this particular Contoso tenant. Okay? So at this point, I'd like to actually, before we go further on the key values, value props, and so on, we thought it would be, rather than us explaining what are the value props, we'll actually have the customer on stage and share their experience, how far they have gone forward in this journey. So with that, please help me welcome Keith from Novartis, and then Samir is going to have a conversation with him as well. Keith? Thanks. Thanks for the meeting.
Hey, Keith. Okay, can you guys hear me? Yeah, great. Keith, thank you for joining us. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us about multi-geo and your experience with it. Before we get started, can you just give us a little bit of color about what Novartis does and what you do there?
Sure. Keith Breeze with Novartis. I'm a engineer, client platform services engineer. Novartis is a pharmaceutical company.
Can you share a little bit about your Office 365 journey so far?
It's been good. We are early adopter. We're moving to vNext. Hopefully by the end of next year, we'll be completely on vNext. And it's been good. It's been really good.
Okay. What's sort of been the main business driver for you to choose multi-geo capabilities?
For Multi-Geo, basically we looked at ODB as a way for our users to collaborate and share files, and it worked out really well. The thing is now that with Multi-Geo, we needed Multi-Geo because in the US, our legal department did not allow us to use ODB for data privacy purposes. So with Multi-Geo, it was something we really needed. And so far it's in, and it's working well. So for my own ODB site is Multi-Geo. We have 2 Multi-Geo tenants, North America and Europe, and it's good.
Okay. And what's the main business driver? I mean, why did you choose to go multi-geo as opposed to setting up multiple on-premises farms around the world?
Well, cost purposes for one. I mean, it was the main purpose. We just saved a lot of money using ODB and going multi-geo.
Okay. Is there, so you've been in the preview for a while now. Is there any specific feedback that you want to share? How's your experience been so far?
It's been really good. Actually, I'd like to thank, I'm not sure if she's here, Adriana and Hiran. They really helped us a lot. It was a smooth transition. So implementing multi-geo was easy. We was just following the different steps. We had a couple of issues with Delve redirection and the web parts, but you know, we've been working well to resolve those issues. So it's been good.
So, last question. Is there anything you want to share with the audience around your experience and what they should look out for as they consider multi-geo for their experience?
Actually, I mean, the only things, I mean, like I said, it works really well. It was smooth. The only thing was the web part and the Delve redirection. That was the only issues we had.
Okay. All right. Well, Keith, thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Are you very welcome?
Thank you, Keith.
So just kind of want to nail down the value prop for multi-geo. We've got 3 distinct value props for it. The first one being that it is a single tenant that spans across multiple Office 365 data center geographies. This is not multiple tenants that you're stitching together. It is your one single contoso.onmicrosoft.com tenant that's simply spanning across multiple Office 365 data center geographies and giving you the ability to store user data at rest on a per user basis. This also lets you unlock your global rollout for Office 365. You're not managing a spaghetti of productivity tools on premises, in the cloud, you know, different users and different organizations, I mean, different parts of the world having different experiences. You know, you're simply adopting a single tenant across the entire organization. That's going to unlock an easier rollout of Office 365 across your enterprise. And then finally, your modern productivity experiences light up because your entire organization is on a single tenant. So now folks in Europe can communicate and collaborate easily with users in Australia, with North America, all around the world. You know, Sesha and Rob are going to show you a number of collaboration experiences here in the next few minutes. And all of this really light up only because of multi-geo capabilities. And the big picture, big piece over here, is your ability to maintain data residency. We know nationalism is growing. Data nationalism is a part of that piece as well. We're addressing that with multi-geo capabilities. So you not only get productivity, you also get data residency. So with that, Sesha, back to you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Samir, and thank you, Keith, for sharing your experience with us. And at this point, I'd actually like to ask you, how many of you are actually interested in the preview program? All right. Thank you very much. Okay. This is, like I said earlier, one of the very long list. I think it's been waiting for a while to get it this far because it's a complex area, but we do understand completely it's a must-have for many organizations. Now, before I go further on slides, I actually thought, as Keith pointed out, it's a very simple onboarding step to get onto multi-geo. So I'm actually going to get into PowerShell and actually show you how to actually onboard in a very quick minute, just to give you a teaser. And I'll have more demos coming up down the road. So with that, let me quickly switch the demo mission here. Here we go. Got it. So what you're seeing here is the Contoso tenant that I mentioned to you, which has 3 locations. So here you can see that there is a location for North America that it says up here, and that's the default location. So there's a default equal to true, and it's a North America location. And then I have a location in Europe, which is not the default, which means it's the satellite location. And I have another location, Australia, which is also satellite location, right? It's a very simple PowerShell commandlet that tells you what are the locations that my tenant actually currently extended to. But now let's say I want to extend this tenant to one more satellite geo, okay? I have a question for you. 2 choices, Canada or Japan. Which one you guys prefer? Let's go with Canada first. If you like Canada, please raise your hands. Or you want to extend to Canada. I'm just waving, okay? Don't worry, you can just be open here. If you want to have seat in Japan, please raise your hands. Oh, wow, that's a lot. Okay, I will go with Japan. All right, so the way we do that is once we have enabled your tenant as a multi-geo enabled tenant, we have a PowerShell as a global admin, you can add additional geos to it. So here is an example. I have a set MSOL company allowed data location. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can actually see. And this commandlet actually takes in a couple of parameters, which such as service type, which is an important one that says which service I want to extend to this new geolocation. It could be SharePoint or Exchange or Skype for Business, right? So you have to specify which service you want to extend to. The next one is location is Japan. It happened to be I also chosen Japan in my PowerShell. So Japan is the location that I want to extend to. And then also there is an additional one called initial domain. And this parameter is important in the context of SharePoint and OneDrive because as you know, each geolocation, as we are provisioning the data there, it has to be addressable. For SharePoint, the way you address the content is by URL, the SharePoint URL, right? So what you are specifying here is actually the URL prefix namespace for that geo. So here you are seeing Contoso demo JPN, JPN for Japan. What it means, the URLs for that Japan location SharePoint sites will be Contoso demos jpn.sharepoint.com. Make sense? That's what we are provisioning here for this particular location. And all the other locations, I have the similar kind of terminology to use the location as a suffix in there. And that's it. So now let me go ahead and kick it off. And as you can imagine, it's going to take 10-15 minutes to actually go ahead and run, trigger this. So I'm going to go ahead and at this point switch over. So it's getting kicked off. And what really happens behind the scene, just so you are aware, the service actually triggers the provisioning, in this case for specifically SharePoint side. So there is, in Japan data center, there is a trigger goes in and say, Contoso demos need a location on that particular Japan data center. So trigger is getting kicked in. The users that are already there in this particular Contoso tenant start synchronizing to that Japan data location so that you can start having collaboration as well, okay? So that's what getting triggered behind the scene. So let me switch gears to the slides now. So we thought the way we can describe the experience and at the same time talking about the principle of data residency is by looking at 3 key areas to deep dive. The first one is around admin experience. How does the admin experience look like in a multi-geo tenant? Does the admin have to remember all the URLs to go and access and administer them? Do they have to manage licenses now individually for each users, right? So we want to mention like what is that story around that. The second one is around end user experiences. How do the end user experience will look like? Do they have to now know the mailbox server name for each geolocation or OneDrive URL for each geolocation to access the resources in that geo, right? That is the second set of area. Then the third one is shared services. There are services such as Dell or information protection services or search experiences. Those are all comes under the bucket of shared services. So as we go through each workload, Exchange, OneDrive, and SharePoint, we will focus on these 3 key pillars. Make sense? That way you have a better idea across the board, end to end, what the experience will look like. And each of the workload, just so you know, there is a deep dive And in fact, this morning we had one for Exchange Online. Tomorrow we are going to do one deep dive for SharePoint and OneDrive as well, where I and Bill will actually talk about it in a little more detail. So because it's a small session, like 45-minute session, we are going to give you only a high-level view at this point. Make sense? OK, with that, let me bring in Robert to talk about those 3 key areas for Exchange Online. Robert?
Thank you, Sesha. So before I get started, how many people were at the Exchange deep dive this morning? Is anyone here? Oh, good. Good. So that session went into, for those who didn't make it to that session, I do encourage you to, afterwards, to get a better idea about how we're lighting up multi-geo. Today I'm just going to cover more of the high-level scenarios, but this morning's session really went into how it works behind the scenes, so it's quite interesting. As Sesha mentioned, we've been working on this for over a year now, and we've been running this in Microsoft as well for over a year now. And really, multi-geo for Exchange Online is part of an evolution that's been happening for many years, right? We incrementally enable more and more functionality. And so we're really building on existing functionality that we already had in Exchange. And I highlighted a few things here just to make you think about some of the things that already kind of enabled multi-geo and that aren't changing. The first one is that since the beginning of the service, we've had a global front-end service accessible via a single namespace. If you had a chance to check out some of the networking sessions earlier in the week, this was discussed in some depth. At a high level, though, what it means is that the point where the client connects to Exchange Online is already multi-geo. And what we're adding here really is the ability for you to select where the user's data is stored in the background. Sesha mentioned URLs in SharePoint. In Exchange, we operate a little bit differently. Because we have this global front-end service that's consistent across the whole service, we have a single namespace as well. So in Exchange, we don't have to worry about URLs in quite the same way. We've also, back from the on-premises days, had auto-discovery of mailbox location for quite a long time. And in the context of multi-geo, the thing to highlight here is that the user doesn't have to know about where their mailbox is. Everything just works in the background. If a user's mailbox is moved from one geo to another, it's invisible to them. Outlook just keeps working. And finally, we persist the concept of having a single view of the Exchange tenant configuration. So it's not that if you have a multi-geo tenant, you don't have a different view of the configuration in North America, and a different view in Europe, and a different view in Japan. It's the same configuration via our admin center and PowerShell. So what's different then? Well, quite a lot. The foundation of this feature is built in Azure AD. Sesha provided a sneak peek at some of the commandlets. But the key thing is that across Office 365, we've built this foundation that right now Exchange and OneDrive are leveraging, and more applications over time, as they mature to support multi-geo, can leverage the same concepts. That's our plan, is that as we add more applications that support multi-geo, they'll behave in the same way. So the first concept to highlight is the allowed data location, which was demoed just a few minutes ago. And this is relevant because as more and more geos become available, it's not that they'll automatically light up for your tenant. You don't have to worry about accidentally something becoming available that you don't want. It's a deliberate action to configure the allowed data locations at the tenant level. And as you saw, that's done via PowerShell. Configuration of allowed data locations is probably not something that your admins are going to worry about very regularly. This is more of a bootstrapping exercise where when you're setting up the feature for the first time, you'll need to do this. Similarly, as your business changes, if you open up offices in new locations, or maybe Microsoft releases new locations, then we'd expect that you'd have some activity there. But this is not really part of the feature which you worry about on a daily basis. Preferred data location, on the other hand, though, is the attribute which is a user-level property that's actually specifying the location of the mailbox and the OneDrive. So the way the flow works is that on your user objects, you'd configure preferred data location, or PDL for short, because it rolls off the tongue better, on user object in Azure AD, and that information would flow into Exchange and OneDrive, and the user's mailboxes and OneDrives would be placed in the respective locations. And there's only one PDL per user, so the mailbox and OneDrive will be in the same location. How you configure this depends on what kind of user objects you're using, whether you're using federation or cloud-only identities. For cloud-only, the commandlets are very similar to the allowed data location commandlet. You set these via PowerShell. But we recognize that the majority of customers that would be interested in Multi-Geo, the large multinational companies, tend to use on-premises Active Directory as the source of authority for their cloud objects as well. And so we've enabled Azure AD Connect to synchronize the PDL attribute from an on-premises attribute of your choice. So this is something that if you're using Azure AD Connect and you adopt the Multi-Geo feature, one of the onboarding steps is updating Azure AD Connect to support the synchronization of the PDL. So what about how does it work in Exchange? Well, this is one of those features where a lot of work has gone into making it invisible. The bulk of the work here has been updating existing Exchange components to be able to work in a multi-geo, cross-geo scenario. Nevertheless, people frequently ask when they're evaluating this feature, as part of our preview program, well, what about scenarios that involve cross-geo user interactions? And one of the popular ones to ask about is, hey, does free busy work across geos, or does calendar delegation work across geos? And the answer is yes, those work. As I mentioned, we've been running this in Microsoft for over a year, and the geo that your mailbox is in is largely invisible to you. You don't really, it's not something you think about on a daily basis. Nevertheless, I pasted in a screenshot here from Outlook where we have a persona, Jane, that has a mailbox in North America. So this is Jane's view. And Jane has access to Melissa's calendar. Melissa's mailbox is in Europe. You wouldn't know that apart from the names. And Jane's mailbox is in North America, as I said. In this case, you can see the prep meeting from the 20th there. That meeting was added by Jane into Melissa's calendar across geo. So calendar delegation works. It's used to work and it still works, so that's good. For that reason, there's not, demos of this feature. It tends to be demos of existing functionality in Exchange, although in SharePoint they do have some pretty flashy demos. So what are the admin scenarios? Well, because this is a feature that's focused on data residency requirements, customers want to know that the data is ending up in the right place, or the data is put in the right place to begin with. And so there's three key scenarios to highlight. The first is that it's possible to create a new mailbox directly into the desired geo. The way that works is if the preferred data location attribute is set in AD before the user has a mailbox, Exchange will automatically place the mailbox in the right place. Existing Office 365 mailboxes can be moved across geos. This will be the common scenario where we have customers that onboard into one geo first and then subsequently decide to add satellite geos, and they want to move users between geos. And this is as simple in Exchange as just updating the PDL attribute, and behind the scenes, Exchange will automatically move the mailbox. Now, we've had the tech to move mailboxes between database servers in Exchange for a long time. This maybe should have been on the first slide. It's one of those foundational capabilities that we've had. What we've done for Multi-Geo is enabled that same tech to respect the geo-specific attributes and place the mailbox in the right place. Finally, customers want to know that if they're onboarding from on-premises Exchange, say you have a Multi-Geo on-premises deployment and you have mailboxes in Europe and mailboxes in North America, you want to know that those mailboxes in Europe can go directly into Exchange Online in Europe without having to go through an intermediary, and that's also supported. So those are the three key admin scenarios. Like I said, the end user scenarios are largely invisible. And please do, for a deeper look at how this is working behind the scenes, go back and look at the session from this morning if you haven't already had a chance to. So with that, I'll turn it over back to Sesha. And he does have some flashy demos.
All right. Thank you, Robert. So it was a good overview of Exchange. So just on the time check, I know it's only a 45-minute session, and as you can see, we're fairly passionate about this technology. We're happy to show you a lot, and we might go a little bit over, so just so you know. But I'm happy to stop at 5:15 too. You guys let me know. If people start leaving, then I know the signal. All right, OneDrive Multi-Geo, let's start there first. So here, main aspect is when we say OneDrive Multi-Geo, what it means is, as you can see in the picture, the North America is the central location, and Europe and Australia are the satellite locations. And in the satellite locations, you're going to get only the capabilities of OneDrive for Business. So you can assign a user to the given geo, and their OneDrive, along with their mailbox, will be provisioned in the corresponding geo. So that's what we call it as OneDrive for Business Multi-Geo. And as the picture shows, there is actually a global Azure Active Directory. And that's the very key point here. There's only one tenant, right? And that means you are managing all the users in that particular one tenant, and you have the flexibility of setting Sesha is a North America user, Robert is a European user, all in that one single management experience itself, okay? Now let me start with admin experience. So in OneDrive, the story is a little bit different from Exchange perspective. We will have OneDrive Admin Center for each geolocation, because this is the URL-based aspects, so you will be able to unlock the rollout of your OneDrives. You know whose OneDrive is where just by looking at in this particular admin center itself. And also, you can manage the OneDrive-specific settings on a per-geo basis. So it gives you the flexibility of managing those specific configurations on a per-geo basis itself. Lastly, in terms of licensing, or in terms of managing the given user's passwords and other aspects specific to the user, you will be able to manage them in a global Office 365 portal center itself. The next up is I'm going to go quickly on this slide so that I can show you the actual demos. As you can see in the picture, currently the tenant has extended to Australia, North America, and Europe, and you will be able to select a specific geo to go to the corresponding admin center for that geo. Okay? So it's all integrated, so you'll be able to get to the one right away. You don't have to remember the URL for each admin center. All you have to know is just get to your default one, then you'll be able to navigate across those other geolocations admin center. Now, on the other hand, for the end user, our principle in general is the user shouldn't have to know that it is a multi-geo tenant. So for example, here, Melissa is actually an European user, and for the demo purposes, we have display name that shows which geo they are part of, right? Now in this case, Melissa just have to go to portal.office.com, and then from there, open up the app launcher, which is what they use to navigate across the apps, click on OneDrive tile. Because she is being tagged as European user by her admin, she will automatically redirect it to the European location. She doesn't have to remember, I have to remember Contoso demos, eur-my.sharepoint.com, none of those things. Not only in the browser, in the mobile clients, in the Office client, in the next-gen sync client, OneDrive sync clients, in those client experience, she just have to enter the email address, melissa@contoso.com, and that's it. The clients are actually multi-geo aware, so it will connect the user to the corresponding OneDrive in the corresponding geolocation. Okay? So as you can see, we have thought through each high-value experiences and also be clear which persona is actually doing and experiencing that experience. Based on that, we made the choice. If it is end user, we try to not expose geo concept, whereas for admins, we do need to expose it, so we expose it to them. Okay? The next one is on the other services. For example, how does the Dell experience will look like when I have multiple users? Let's say in this case, Melissa, who's a European user, she's collaborating with users from North America and Australia, right? Will she see all the signals coming from her colleagues across the other geolocations? And the answer is yes. I'll show you the demo in a minute. So she will be seeing signals not only from her own home geo, which is Europe, but also from other geos as well. The other aspect from admin perspective, this is super important we thought, is can I see, or is it transparent to me who is doing what? Like it's a multi-geo tenant. Can I see what European users are doing versus what is Australian users are doing versus North America users? And this is where the unified auditing will come into play. I'm assuming many of you are familiar. In Security and Compliance Center, we have the audit logs capability. That will show you a single unified view of all the activities that happens in your multi-geo tenant, no matter which user is doing and no matter where the content lives. It will show you all the activities. And of course, you can export them and do all sort of dashboard with it, or you can filter and see the specific activities that are there in their system. Okay? Now, having said that, we picked the specific high-value experiences and made them as multi-geo aware. And then this is where, as you get into the preview and try to use the product, we'll look forward to your feedback if there are any other experiences where you would like to see the multi-geo awareness as well or not. I'm going to actually quickly run through SharePoint multi-geo, and then I'll get into the demos. For SharePoint, the only difference is the satellite locations will have the full-fledged SharePoint online capabilities. That means you will be able to create team sites in the satellite geos, not only team sites, Office 365 groups. If you are using them today, you will be able to have them as well in the satellite location. Now, for example, in the Melissa European user case, if she is trying to create an Office 365 group, it will actually create the group resources in the European location, like the group's mailbox and the group sites, because she's the initiator of that particular group. So that's our current thinking there for shared resources in the groups itself. SharePoint Admin Center, same thing as OneDrive Admin Center, where you will be able to have per geolocation admin centers that will allow you to create team sites in that particular geo. So you are already in a specific geo, let's say in Europe, you create a team site, and it stays there. That's where it will be, right? If you want to create a team site in Australia as an admin, you will navigate to the Australian location and then create a team site there, okay? The other aspect, important aspect, is the sharing policies. And this is where we took the data residency principle to heart, because we think each geolocation, you may have a need for different sharing policies. So for example, in the European location, you may want to restrict no external sharing at all on that geolocation, versus in the North America or in Australia, you're probably okay allowing them to have it, right? If they're having external sharing there. So it's totally depending on the local data regulatory control or the policies they are enforcing on you, you may have to have different configurations. And that's where this per geo admin experience will be helpful. Now you may ask, what if I want to have the same policy everywhere? Great, we have the PowerShell. You can just push the same policy across all the locations if you really have that need. Yeah? So that's another aspect about the sharing policies. And as I said, each URL, each geo is identifiable, either by a user if he has to know, or an admin, or even a compliance officer, just by looking at the URL. So we strongly recommend when you pick the namespace that I showed you in the very beginning in the PowerShell commandlet, just be very thoughtful, because you're going to stick with that namespace, because that's going to be your URL for your SharePoint URL. It's for SharePoint admin centers as well as your OneDrive aspects. Last but not least is also other policies, like data loss prevention policies. Let's say you want to create a Australian Privacy Act DLP policy, right? You can go to the Security and Compliance Center, create one of those, and then attach them or apply them to the Australian OneDrive sites or SharePoint sites or mailboxes in that location itself. So there is additional admin setup there to configure those, but per site or per geo mailboxes itself, you'll be able to apply those policies. So with that, I'm going to actually, this is SharePoint Home. I'm going to show you that in the demo. And then also the search demo as well, search experience stuff as well. So I'm actually going to go into the demo and then show some of those in the live tenant itself. Here we go. So I'm actually go off and start with as an admin. So here I am on the OneDrive Admin Center. And as you can see, this particular page shows me that the sharing policies for North America. So if I click change, it will show me what are the other geos available for these tenants. So if I make any changes in this page, it's actually applicable only for OneDrives and SharePoint sites in North America. So here, If I click here, showing data for EMEA. So this one is now showing me data for the settings for EMEA. As you notice, the sharing policies are actually, external sharing policy is turned off for the EMEA geolocation. So it shows you per geo, you can choose to have different sharing policies. I'm just giving you a high-level view. You can think of, I have partnerships in Europe only with Fabricam.com as well as Adatem.com. I don't want that partnership reflect in North America. You can go even granular policies like that. But this gives you an idea of sharing policies are per geo that you can configure for this particular, in this particular aspect. Now let me quickly switch gears as an end user. So here I am logged in as the Melissa user, Melissa European user. And the only, like I said earlier, she just have to go to portal.office.com. And as you can see in the URL, her OneDrive is actually hosted off of Contoso demo eur-my.sharepoint.com. Now, let's say, just for the demo purposes, she actually tries to get the OneDrive, another OneDrive, in your North America geolocation. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that URL. I'm going to go ahead and paste it here and remove that EUR suffix because that is my local. This is my default location one. Let's see what happens in this case. What happened? Back to Europe. It got redirected back to Europe. So in other words, even if users make mistakes, as long as the admin has configured that preferred data location property properly in the Azure Active Directory, they will be taken to corresponding geo. In other words, for a given user, there's only one OneDrive. There's only one mailbox, right? There is no like multiple OneDrives they can get or multiple mailboxes they get. So the service is intelligent to reroute them to the appropriate geolocation. You guys like it? Okay. All right, let's go one step further. Let's say I wanted to share a document from this OneDrive experience with my colleagues in Australia and North America. So I'm going to pick a document and go ahead and click share. And here you notice the same sharing policies are available for me. So in this case, I have a user in Australia, Adam. I can simply select it, and it shows me that he's an Australian user in the display name. Now this is the feature what we call global people picker. Folks who have been managing SharePoint on-premises knows very well how hard it is to get this experience in the on-premises. But in the cloud, because it's a architecture is a single tenant based, we are able to offer you the global people picker like experience. So here I'm sharing with Adam, as well as let's say I'm sharing with Seisha, who's a US user, and then I can click send. Now before I do that, let's say I also wanted to share with Robert, but in his Gmail account, which is the external email address outside of my organization. And note what happened. Immediately, the policy kicked in and says, sorry, Melissa, you cannot share with this person because she is outside of your organization. Now, if she is doing the same activity in a North America site, which she has access to and permission to, then she will be able to share it because the North America policy allows for external sharing. So it gives you the view of how the policy itself also ingrained within the content and applied across the geos itself. Not only what she is sharing, even the shared with me view. If I go to the shared with me view where Melissa is looking at what are all the documents that are shared with me as a user. As you can see, there are documents shared from US user, as well as like Seisha, Yusuf, and so on, and also from other European users as well. So she will get a unified view of all the documents that are shared with her, regardless of which user has shared the document with her. Yeah? The last one is the Delve experience. So here I mentioned that she will get a single unified view across the Delve. So no matter where the content lives, and no matter which user has shared the document, she will be able to see that signals in her experience, in the Delve experience. So for example, here I'm seeing some documents coming from solar energy site, which is in North America, and you can see them URL at the bottom. And also, I have some signals coming from, let's say, Megan Smith, who is an European user's OneDrive. So this document actually lives in the European user's OneDrive. So it gives you an idea across the globe, as she is collaborating with other users, all those signals, she will be able to see them in a single view across the Delve itself. Now let me finish with the SharePoint Home experience. Here I am in the SharePoint Home, the same concept. any sites, regardless of where they live, as long as she has permission to it, it will pop up in her follow list. So here, for example, wind energy is the European site, whereas solar energy is actually a US site. So she's able to see them right there in the follow list itself. Same thing, news articles coming from other sites too. Now let's take one step further. Let's say she wants to do a search, and she wants to find or discover a document, right? So let's say she's trying to do energy. That's a search she wants to do. And let's see what happens in that particular case. So when I typed in energy, as you noticed, the suggested sites popped in, and it showed me a list of suggested sites. As well as here, I actually have first hit is coming from the wind energy site, which is actually in Europe. Then if you notice the second one, which is in US, which is, you can see from the URL, it's a geothermal energy site in the US. And I also have some hits currently coming from the OneDrive, users OneDrive as well in European location. And not only content, also the news articles. If you have a news posted, this is one of the new features we introduced in SharePoint sites, is the news-based information exposure. Those news articles, regardless of where they are posted, as long as she has permissions, it will show up there as well. Okay, so that's the quick sneak view of what is available in OneDrive as well as in SharePoint Online as well. I encourage you to come up tomorrow for the detailed session where I will spend more time going through each workload in further detail itself. Okay, you guys like it so far? Yeah? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to close with where I started earlier. Multi-Geo is about a single tenant being able to have span across multiple regions as well as countries. And it is mainly, the business driver is around data residency. However, the collaboration experience, as you saw, we want to be super seamless for the end user. And we want the admins are the ones who take the hit of where is the geo, what geo I want to add, and so on. If you are interested in their preview, please check out the aka.ms/multi-geo. It has information on how you can get ahead and participate in their preview, or contact your Microsoft account team to further get into the preview itself. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Q&A session. Samir, you want to help us? Yeah? Hope you guys liked it. If you have questions, please come to the microphone and do it. Please go ahead.
Hi. Yeah. Do you have any plan to surface the preferred location information into the portal admin center so that we can actually see the location for a specific user?
I can
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a couple of aspects to that. There's surfacing the information in the portal, and then what we're actually thinking about in this space is enabling reporting so that you can actually run reports on, hey, who's where, who moved, drill into the stats about how users are configured. So reporting is absolutely on our roadmap. We don't know exactly the timing of when it's going to land, but it's something we're working on for the remainder of this year. And
thank you.
Is that what you're
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So right now, in order to find out who's where, you have to run PowerShell, and we'd like to do something maybe like integrate with Power BI or some other dashboard.
Yeah, that would be great, because our help desk doesn't do PowerShell.
Okay, thanks for
yeah, please, if you don't mind, come and can pick up the glass too. Yes. Thanks for the question. We will go one after that. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi. Are there any plans to certify Multi-Geo to meet government compliance data regional requirements where you have to have data in a satellite office that can't be transmitted out of that country or can't be accessed by foreign nationals outside of that country?
I see. I think that's an very interesting question. We would like to actually probably follow up with you offline to get more details on what specific certifications you are after. And we will work with our Gov Club. There's a separate team focused on the government cloud itself. So we'll have to work with them and make sure that whether we are able to satisfy or not. Right now, though, what I showed you is all in public cloud, right? Because all the geolocation that I showed you is all in empty, multi-tenant, worldwide public cloud. So that's what is available.
Where I was going with the question is if we could use public cloud and didn't have to use the business community cloud because it met some of these certifications, that would be our preference.
Yeah, so Office 365 by nature has the biggest list of compliance certifications. So starting from ISO, SOC to regional compliance standards, we comply with a number of letters around the world. So would be keen on listening to your specific data residency requirements or considerations that your company has, because likely it's already met in the service today.
Great. Thank you.
But if you want to come up here, that'd be great.
And we'll take from here. Yeah, please.
I have a real short question. Do you guys have a projected rollout timeline for the SharePoint multi-geo located tenant?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about it tomorrow in my other session. Currently, OneDrive Multi-Geo is in preview now, and we are planning to GA general availability in H1 of calendar 18. And then for SharePoint Multi-Geo, it's under development, but we believe the preview will be in H1 of calendar 18. And we don't yet have a general availability yet, because still we're working through the engineering development there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take it, please. Yeah.
Two related questions. One is, how do you handle licensing on this? If you've got 3
Geos.
national,
Yeah.
located 3 places, how do you decide on licensing? And then, can you transfer that from one tenant area to another, or geolocation to another?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're still working through the licensing process for multi-geo specifically. As of now, all you're doing is you're enabling certain geos for your single Office 365 tenant and flexibly moving users between Geo A and Geo B, or moving users from on-premises onto a particular geo. As we're in preview, we're not going through any sort of licensing mechanics at this point, but we should have that information coming to you as we get closer to GA.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to come up here with these fancy glasses.
Take a question from there.
Hi, so I just wanted to see, what about Teams? You don't do any mention of Teams, but is multi-geo going to be something for Teams? And then the other side of that is there a change for the existing regionally hosted meetings capability in Sky for Business Online?
Okay. So Sky for Business, I think sounds like you're already using regionally hosted meetings, and in fact, they use the same schema that Robert talked about, right? Preferred data location, allow data location, so there is no change there.
Okay.
But for Teams specifically, it is something we are looking at. We don't have any timeline or anything to share at this point, but it's definitely something that we are looking at. We'll share with you as we get more information on that regard.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll go from there.
So the question nobody wants to ask, and you probably won't answer, what's it going to cost me? And how will you charge me?
Yeah.
You're going to charge me to do this, I take
So
it.
like Samir was earlier saying, we are still working on the commercial aspects for this particular scenario.
We're currently in preview, so obviously we don't expect customers to pay for this in preview. As we get closer to GA, we are working with the business planning teams and coming up with an estimated price for this feature. It is a premium feature. This is not something any other cloud service provider provides. It's very unique to Office 365. Google doesn't have this. Box doesn't have this. Dropbox doesn't have this. And it certainly is a ton of work that we've put into it. We will have more information on the mechanics around pricing in the following months. But I encourage join the preview. It's an amazing service.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, one question. The identities that are synchronized, where will they reside? Is that in the global tenant, or will they also go to the satellite locations?
So the identity is synchronized, like I said earlier, it's only a single tenant, right? So there's only one Azure AD instance. Now in this case, what we call worldwide partition. It will be part of the worldwide partition Azure AD instance. And that way, users from anywhere can get authenticated and being able to serve all the users.
Yeah, so the identities will not be copied to the other satellite.
What's that?
The identities will not physically be copied to the other locations.
I think it depends on the scenario too.
Yeah.
For an address book scenario, for example, we do copy some attributes of the user into the Exchange directory so that you can have a unified view of the address book in a performant way. And then similarly, like when you're adding a location in SharePoint. I think
we have the same thing. We cache the information because the global people picker experience that I showed you. So as we introduce new geos, we actually get the cache of that information in each geo so that we can give you that collaboration experience.
But only for the users that are residing in that satellite location, or for all the users?
For Exchange, it's all the users in order to provide. So basically, Exchange Online has its own directory that we take data from Azure AD. And that's to provide both a GAL service so that you can look up, as well as tenant configuration. But the GAL is it's still one view of the GAL, just like it was before.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please go ahead.
Thanks for the session. Lots of good info.
Thank you.
So, going back to Melissa's use case, she's from UK.
I'm glad you actually got that use case in head. Very good.
Yeah, pretty good. We could relate to it with offices in Australia, UK, and in the US. So let's say we move Melissa to Australia.
Yeah.
She's got stuff on OneDrive. She's a site owner for lots of SharePoint sites. And how does it work when Melissa shares URLs when she was in Europe versus when she goes to Australia?
Okay.
Good announcement with the short URL in the SharePoint session Tuesday.
Yeah.
But I'm curious into how that works here.
So I don't want to take the thunder away for tomorrow's session because this is exactly what we are going to live demo tomorrow.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I encourage you to come there. I'll put a short answer. Yes, you can be able to move a user from one geo to the other geo. That means their mailbox as well as the OneDrive also can be moved to the other location. When it's moved in the new location, she will have a seamless experience. Not only her, but there will be other shared users that she has shared with will also have it. I'll go to the details tomorrow on that. It's a little bit deeper topic. Yeah?
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Please.
Hi, thanks. It's a similar question on the URLs. And when you were doing your demo, you went back up to the top level URL for that user, and it's intelligent. It knows that she's in Europe or wherever she may be. But what if we have users have favorites, and they favored their long URL to their existing, their user ID to their site. If they go and try and use that old URL, but they've been moved, is the system intelligent enough to push them there, and is this tomorrow?
You're asking the exact same thing. So I will she will be redirected to the new location.
Even with the old URL? Okay.
Yes. Right. As long as she is coming to the browser. And I'll explain more details tomorrow, like how we did it.
Great, I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Yes, no problem. Yeah.
So I have a question about smaller sized global companies, under 10,000 people. What are you guys going to qualify on people that are allowed to use this service or allowed to subscribe to it?
So I think you should, for preview mainly, you should talk to your account team and just show your interest that you would like to join this preview program, and then they will figure out with us on what's the need you have, and then figure out whether you'll be a good candidate for the preview or should I wait for middle availability. We'll do that exercise. But I would say encourage you to connect with your account team, and they will come to us.
Okay, I guess is it going to be like evaluated on a case-by-case basis? Because I'm a reseller, so we're going to have customers like this all over the place.
Yeah, that's right. We have a review process. I mean, we've got a pretty limited number of slots available in our preview. So, to get these guys the right amount of feedback as we go GA, and we're going GA in a few months over here. It's imminent. So we want to be a little more, I wouldn't say selective, but pick and choose better.
Makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I kind of know the answer here already. We have a Citrix environment. We are on an on-prem server. We are in an online mode for Outlook, and everything was nice and pretty till we went to Exchange Online, where it's the latency is. Will this help with that?
Well, so we didn't design this feature specifically to address the VDI scenario. I think Kostya in the audience has done sessions on this particular topic, and it might be worth connecting you guys after because we've got some new materials on the subject.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
When's that? Did I miss it? Or? Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kostya.
Please go ahead.
So this may have been covered in the Exchange session this morning. Apologies, I missed it. Are there any complications for hosting or geo-hosting of Exchange Online mailboxes if you're running Exchange in hybrid mode?
Not really. The hybrid configuration wizard already supports, if your on-premises implementation is distributed. And in terms of the interactions between the two, everything should just work, especially depending if you're using like the newer technology like org relationships, so that we're using auto-discover to find things, then we should be optimizing how lookups are done for things like availability, for example.
Would there be a minimum Exchange on-prem version, Exchange server version?
Nothing different from what we already have in the hybrid configuration.
Cool. Thank you.
Great question.
Hi, good afternoon. To make it short, I have 5,000 colleagues located in India. And I would like to know if it will be available for India locations.
Sorry, which locations here?
India.
India?
Yeah, New
Yeah,
Delhi,
India is in the
Prayagraj,
list, right?
Chennai.
It is, yeah, it is in the list, right? So we do have a supported geo for India as well, yeah.
Okay, because I saw a tiny star on the bottom left of the slide.
There is a caveat.
So the caveat, yeah, the caveat is due to the legal and regulations.
The local tax laws in India.
This is the same story as you got on Azuri when at the beginning, because your billing address was in Europe, it was not available, and after it became available.
Yeah, so we have a slight caveat for India right now, but as we get closer to GA, we are working with our tax team and the folks on the ground in India to iron this out. We should have an update in a few months, but India is available on the list as a supported geo for multi-geo.
Okay, so it will come 6 months, 12 months from here?
We're still working through the mechanics of it. If you've worked with government before, you'll probably appreciate how difficult it is to get things done. We're going through the process right now. We should have an update, I'd say, before GA.
Okay.
The caveat still remains as of today. So
yeah, as well as my colleague, because I'm working with Raki, Atul, Sumen, and so on.
Yeah.
And they're all based late. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, will you be able to move SharePoint sites between the geolocations?
Will we be able to move a SharePoint site between the geos? I see. Well, that's as you can imagine, further complex problem than even OneDrive move, right?
Yeah.
This is something we are evaluating right now. The fidelity of moving a site from one geo to the other geo, because it's not about just site content. There are a bunch of other things comes along with it. What if you have a flow or Power Apps attached to a science site? So you can, it looks like you understand the complexity there. So we don't have yet a definitive answer on whether we will support that or not. But I love to understand your requirement, because usually data residency means you keep the data, especially sites, in that location. But I'm curious what drives you to move the data from one geo to the other geo. I'm happy to talk offline a little bit more data.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi. What about Germany? Is there any specific, is it similar to India, or is it just a cluster?
Well, so Germany is, as you know, we have a Office 365 Germany data center, data sovereignty-based data centers. That is completely isolated, separate instance from the Azure instance in the public cloud.
Understood.
So it is not, based on that design itself, we cannot support Germany being one of the satellite geo to a multi-geo tenant, right?
Yeah, my question really comes down to, I have customers that are obviously multinational that are in the US and in Germany and all over the world, and of course they have such a strict, how do you do, is there any plan to do a shared tenant with those type of companies that reside in Germany that have that strict compliance?
Yeah, so the way we approach two ways, I've seen some customers who are already deployed in Black Forest, they try to do what we call the tenant-to-tenant collaboration, but still it has some caveats around it. So we encourage them to think about how strict that you need to be in that Germany itself.
Sure.
I've seen customers who looked at it and then they came back and said, actually I can be in Europe, and then I'm okay with complying with what they have to have. So it actually, per case basis, it actually varies. So if you have customers, like I said, offline, we'll be happy to discuss a little bit more on what their requirements are, and then we'll go from there. You have another question? Yeah?
No, I'm good. They have their trustees or whatever in Germany that you work with each company, right? That's assigned to that company that works with you guys on what's available or to them.
Well, there's a data trustee for the German cloud itself, and we've got a data trustee in Germany, a unanimous data trustee that works with Microsoft to ensure that we meet our commitments as per German law, their privacy laws.
Okay.
But as Cesar said, if a customer has a reason to collaborate outside of Germany, if a customer has a reason to expand beyond those walls of Germany, Europe is certainly an option, because again, we've got data centers in Europe, and that is the first step that most customers should adopt, and most customers are successful with that.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So I have two questions.
Sure.
One is for Rob. Now, in terms of selecting a specific data center, I would expect the answer is no. But if I have to put my mailbox in Dublin data center within EMEA, is that possible?
It's not possible. So this was covered in Brian's session this morning, but the same principle is true for OneDrive and SharePoint as well. So the most granular specificity of location that we can provide is the definition of a geo. So in the country, that means the data centers are within a country, and with a larger region like European Union, they're all going to be in the European Union. But we don't have the ability for you to say, I just want my mailboxes in Dublin, or I just want my mailboxes in Helsinki, or wherever else we have data centers.
Got it.
We need to have a minimum number of available locations for active copies to ensure the availability side of the service.
That makes sense. We do get this question quite a lot. But the next one is, maybe I'm jumping the gun. Apart from PowerShell, do you have support for REST APIs and CSOM APIs?
For what though?
For getting the PDL and the ADL.
So PDL, like Robert mentioned, the Azure AD Connect, like if you are synchronizing users, then that's the approach to take, right? So you should use Azure AD Connect. In fact, this scenario is primarily for multinational companies who already are doing Azure AD synchronization to the cloud. So that's why we actually looked into that first. On the other hand, if you have customers who are managing cloud identities, and they have a lot, cloud identities managing, we'd love to hear your feedback and to see how we can expose it today. Because right now, we think the cloud identity is not that many customers are actually having so many of them managing there. Rather, they actually use AD Connect as a way to bring it from on-prem. So
yeah, but my question was a little different, but probably I can talk with you separately.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, thank you.
Because people are waiting.
Sure, thank you. Yeah.
Hi, question about SharePoint.
Yeah.
So if you've got multi-geo SharePoint set up, do you get multiple copies of the plumbing that goes underneath, things like the term store or all that sort of stuff, or is it a single instance of that?
Yeah, so actually I'm going to go a little bit deeper tomorrow, but I'll give you a short answer now. The term store, we are planning to offer what we call the centralized taxonomy. So you can have in the default location. If you noticed in our picture, we had default location and satellites. So you will be able to say your default location is where you are managing your enterprise-wide taxonomy. And then we call it multi-geo taxonomy, so it will actually replicate to all the other satellite locations. So that's our recommended default model.
Okay. But could you restrict some terms in one of the satellites, say?
Could you what?
Restrict, so only have a subset on the satellite.
I actually would like to understand the use case there, because if you have an enterprise-wide management of data, then typically you want to apply everywhere. In addition, for a satellite geo, you may have a requirement for having satellite-specific taxonomy that you can do. So if I am 10 groups I'm synchronized, replicating from central, I want to add 5 more taxonomy group in the, let's say, Australian geo, you can do that. But the 10 group from the enterprise, from the central is always going to get replicated in all the different places. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Hi. Will there be any additional cost in the subscription for each individual user that benefits from multi-geo?
So like Samir was pointing out, cost-specific things we are still working through with the commercial aspects of it. Before we go general availability, we will be very clear on what that cost will look like. We just don't have a specific answer right now of that. So we're still working on that specific things. Yeah? Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify the statement around, you mentioned the data residency.
Yep.
And this is not about performance. Is that you kind of just playing safe, but with the intention that you may see some improvement with people using different locations? Because I think from our perspective, one of the main drivers, and that's what we hear from our TAM and everyone is, geos coming. They never quite say that it's to do with helping performance, but there's a slight intention there that it may help with improvement. So by us going on to the preview, which I think we've just signed up to, I'm just quite keen to know is, A, would we be able to then not turn that off? Have that disabled?
We have our perf expert
yes, I can
here.
comment on that. I'm Costa Rivkin. I'm architect on Office 365 team. The truthful answer is data placement does affect performance, right? It's useless to argue with that point at the physics level. It has been proven via tests. The question is by how much? We believe that in the world of performant access of Office 365, there is a number of layers that impact your performance experience. It is your network, your peering, the app overhead, the app configuration, the data placement, and the choice of the front end. And we believe right now that the physical data residency is not the high order bit. So once you figure out the optimality on the rest of the buckets, come back and let's talk about the data residency as the way to improve your performance experiences. But in the vast majority of cases that we investigated so far, it has not been the high order bit. So you get more ROI by investing in perf improvement in the former categories that I just mentioned.
Okay, good.
And they also apply to all customers.
That's right.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Thanks, Constantine.
All right, thanks, Constantine. Yes, go ahead. And just before I take one question, I do want to point out to you on the dashboard, remember we started with the Japan location initially? So now we've actually got provision. So you guys can actually see it. This is one of the way we actually say by just being on the empty and ability within, what, 20 minutes, right? We started earlier in the day, earlier in the session. Now it's actually got provision, it's actually there. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask the question, even though this gentleman just maybe you've answered it, but is it going to be possible to have like publishing sites replicated or available in all the different regions?
Yeah, so first of all, we don't replicate content from content, actually, a site content from one geo to the other geo, right? Because it goes back to the data residency principle. Like a publishing site, once it is designated, has to be in Japan, that's where it will be. Having said that, if you want a US user to access that publishing site, you can give them permissions. They will be able to access that content right there. So there is no need to replicate to that US location in order for the US user to access your content. They will be able to give, as long as you are okay to give them permission, they will be able to access it. And in fact, there are a lot of performance improvements coming down aside from multi-geo that's going to make that experience even better for them. So I wouldn't recommend replicating content. I totally understand that's what we do in the on-prem. I totally get that. But in the cloud, in this multi-geo world, we no longer need that. Does that make sense? Yeah? I can help you offline a little bit more if you need more context. Yeah. It's a great question. Yeah. Please go ahead. Is the mic off or?
I think it might be.
Okay.
With shared mailboxes and Office 365 groups, will those be able to be moved around?
Yeah,
so being Office 365 groups mailbox, right?
Yeah, and shared mailboxes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
First of all, shared mailboxes from the underlying tech perspective are just like any other mailboxes. So they, the system that moves mailboxes around doesn't view them any differently, so they're handled in the same way. From a group's perspective, though, we have the tie-in with the SharePoint site. So this is where Sasha covered the logic that if an end user creates a group, then both the mailbox component and the site component will inherit where the creating user's location is. But there's also the ability for an admin to create a group in whichever location the admin chooses.
But they go.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Sarah.
So my questions may have been answered about 6 times, but I'm not sure I heard what I wanted to hear, so I'm going to ask again.
Sure. As long as
and I will attend your session tomorrow to get more questions. But when we have groups and we have that SharePoint site that sits behind those, that replication is going to happen based on the user, where the user's mailbox sits. Is that true?
So the group's experience is, there are 2 major experiences how you can create a group. As a end user, you can go to your Outlook Web Access or SharePoint Home and create a group there, right? Mm-hmm. In that approach, the end user, you have already tagged them with the preferred data location, right? So let's say Melissa is a European user, she's tagged as Europe, and if she goes and creates as an end user an Office 365 group, the corresponding group's mailbox and group site will be in the European location because she's tagged as the European user. On the other hand, for admins, because they're the admins, they know the multi-geo concept and so on, they will be able to, in the Exchange PowerShell, say, I want this particular group to be created in North America, even though the admin himself is Europe admin. But he can say, I want to create this in the North America location. So he can be able to do that. So admin will have the ability to pick which geo they want the group's resources to be provisioned. On the other hand, for end users, it will be based on whatever their data location is. Make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
One more question around the data. So we deal with a lot of CAD files that...
Sorry, what? CAD files?
CAD,
okay.
yeah. So they're very large files.
Yep.
And I know you say you don't typically sync data, but if we needed to sync that data, can we with this geo process?
I'm not following your specific question. What do you mean by syncing those files? They're part of a SharePoint site or OneDrive site, right? So
right, it's a SharePoint site.
Yeah, so in that case, wherever that SharePoint site is hosted,
So
that's
it's the
where
whole
they will
site.
live. Yeah, the whole site.
It's not it doesn't get any granular than the site.
No, it doesn't go anywhere granular.
Okay.
So the granularity is only at the site collection level. Yes.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, sir. From a limitation or storage perspective, like we can see on your slide, you have some available terabytes. Will it be by regions, or is that aggregated, or?
Sorry, I didn't quite follow the question.
So.
Different storage for.
The quota storage you're talking about.
Yeah, will it be split by region,
Sure.
or will it be
Got it.
aggregated? What kind of limitation will we get?
Got it. So it goes back to, it's a single tenant with the multiple data locations, right? So in SharePoint itself, the quota, we have a mechanism to calculate and say, let's say your tenant is allowed for 100 terabytes of data, right? By default, that 100 terabytes of quota will be shared across your geos. So across North America, Europe, Japan, and Australia, that quota is shared. However, as an admin, you can say, well, for Australia subsidiary, I don't want them to go beyond, let's say, 10 terabyte. I want to put a cap on that particular subsidiary for whatever reason, right? So you can then say 10 terabyte is the maximum and I'm allocating to that particular subsidiary. That means your shared pool now has reduced to 90 terabytes. So the rest of the 3 regions will now share the 90 terabytes. If you want to go all the way, you can say each geo allocated this much. You can do that too. That's how we are thinking about that space, yeah? But that will come as part of SharePoint Multi-Geo when we go along part. Right? Okay, thanks for the question. Yeah.
Hello. Have you any intention to make it available as well in the enterprise plans and the business plans, or just the enterprise plans?
See, it goes back to the commercial thing that Samir was talking about. So we are still working through, you're talking about, is there a reason why you wanted a business plan and you're not actually in enterprises today? Because this is more like enterprise.
No, yeah, we are CSP, and we have multiple customers that are in the UK and in Europe.
Okay.
They operate in UK and Europe, and they would have the UK part would like have their data in the UK, and well, the European countries, they can have it in EMEA.
I see. I think this goes back to our commercial aspects of how when we come up with that model, like how we are going to charge and what minimum SKU that the customer has to have to get this capability. We will get that figured out before we go to general availability. So we don't have that information right now. Yep. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, folks.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.